The Battle of New Orleans has a story stranger than fiction. A ragtag army of privateers, Native Americans, and others defeated the well-equipped British troops right here on this battlefield. And on this side, I'll be cooking with legendary John Folse, making dishes that were served right here on this battlefield. We'll be making redfish Courtbouillon, potage of shrimp and wild mushrooms, and the finale, brandied bananas. So join me for a spectacular taste of history from New Orleans. The legendary John Folse here.
Hey, Chef, how you doing? So good to see you.
And a legendary place we're here today.
This is absolutely the most revered place to Louisianians. This is where the Battle of New Orleans took place on that foggy, rainy morning, January 8th, 1815. If this battle would have been lost, the United States would not exist. Andrew Jackson was a finicky eater. He didn't like to eat anything. He didn't want a lot of humbug. But on his farewell victory dinner, this was a dish that was served in his honor as the main entree, a ragu of redfish and shrimp. You ready to make it?
Of course.
Look,
Can't wait for it.
We have our pot, and you know in Louisiana, everything begins with great conversation and ends with a roux. I have a little bit of oil in here, so we're gonna go ahead and put our flour in, and you can throw that flour in there, just dump it all in. This is gonna be a lighter roux because the dark brown roux is made for more game dishes, but for seafood dishes,
It's more delicate. So.
Yeah, more delicate. We only want this to be a good thickening agent with a little bit of color. Now look at our fish over here. This fish is available all around Louisiana. It would have been the preferred fish of the day. And then the river shrimp. We had beautiful shrimp that swam in the Mississippi River, yet it was sweet shrimp. So fish and shrimp would have been the main ingredients on this dish. Look how the roux is changing color. You see it now, it's just a nice light brown, right? And that nice light brown is gonna give the dish just a nice thickening and a small amount of flavor. Slowly add some of that beautiful seasoning. You see I got lemon here because the lemon is always going to help flavor the fish.
Gotcha.
And we have our onions, our celery, our bell pepper, and that's what we say the Trinity. Plus we have our green onions as well and our garlic. Okay? Just dump them all in at one time.
Everything?
Oh, everything in at one time. We're not playing around on this one. So now we're going to stir all of this in. You see how nice and light that roux is, but you can smell it, you see?
Big time.
Similar ingredients in a pot always make different flavors when you cook them in different methods or put them in the pot. Okay, Chef, you see how the roux binds to the vegetables right there? That's exactly what's going to happen when we pour the hot stock in. It's going to bind to the water, and it's going to make that nice gravy we're looking for. We have shrimp and the fish. I'm a sacrifice. In Louisiana, we like to sacrifice 50% of the ingredients to the pot. And the rest, we keep to put in right at the end. The cooks always say, sacrifice half to this. Cook it away. Let it fall apart. And that's going to just build more flavor in the pot. Think about that for a minute.
You mentioned the word sacrifice in food. Imagine how many people sacrifice their life right here.
Look, we have to give them a lot of credit for us standing here today. Now, you ready to go ahead and put a little tomato? Because again, this is Creole. And Creole is defined as the 7 nations that came to Louisiana at different times, intermarried their flavors, intermarried their culture, intermarried their ingredients to create a new nation called Louisiana, and created the Creoles, the mixture of color, Crayola crayons, the mixture of color and culture.
And brought along the culinary heritage
and intermarried the culture. So all of a sudden, all those things went into the pot. Where else could that have happened?
Nowhere.
Nowhere. That's what makes New Orleans unique.
So what do you want to do?
Okay, the tomato, either one, whichever one you want. Let's go with the tomato and the juice. Oh, yeah. Now, immediately, the roux is going to pick up the tomato sauce. I want you to see that again.
Yeah, I see it.
Now, all of that tomato liquid is in the starch. Now, a little tomato sauce right there. So we have tomato sauce, and then we have diced tomatoes as well. Now, give me a little bit of that lemon juice.
Okay.
And we can even add 1 sliced lemon if we have a piece of sliced lemon. Look, it's right here. We have one right there. You can throw a little sliced lemon. Yep, just one in there. Look at that, how nice that's beginning to look. Okay, so we got that in. Now, look, we're in New Orleans, so we have to have a little red wine and a little herbs and bay leaves in our cooking. So why don't you go ahead and put me about a 1/4 cup That's perfect. Oh, that's more perfect. Thank you. Look at this pot. You ever saw a pot look like this?
Nope.
And we're on a battlefield in New Orleans.
And what I really like about this pot, the way you explained that you sacrifice half and the other half goes later.
Yeah, look, it'd slap your hand if you didn't leave some in the bowl. Now we're going to put in our herbs. We have our bay leaves, and we can put one right down into the pot like that. And give me a few of that little thyme right there. Throw some thyme in there.
A little thyme.
Yeah. And then, Chef, I'm going to have a little bit of that allspice right there, just a little bit. Now we have the base for our ragu, or as we call it, a nice courtbouillon here. So now you're ready to go in with a little stock?
Sure.
Huh? So I have a little bit stock here. Now this is just from the bones of the fish. They would have never thrown the bones of the fish away. Okay, I'm gonna go right down into the pot here.
Nice.
Just stir it around real good. And you see the tomato and the wine gives that a really nice red color.
Yep.
So once this comes back to a good rolling boil, we would taste it for seasoning. So I would go ahead and put a little salt. Remember the fish is coming out of the salt water, so we're gonna be careful. A little bit of the pepper. I always put a little bit of the granulated garlic in there, not garlic powder, just granulated garlic. Then I have my scallions, right? And I'm gonna just go ahead and put some of my green onions in. And then I'm gonna put my parsley. I'm gonna cook this on a low fire, just where the water dance a little bit on the top, just a little dance on the top. And I would let it sit for 45 minutes to an hour. By that time, I'll be ready to throw the rest of my fish right in, and I'd let them just curl, maybe just 1 or 2 minutes.
Gotcha.
And then I would serve it over a nice bowl of rice. I got a nice pot of it if you're ready to taste.
You know it. You know
okay,
that.
Good. Look how beautiful it is. See how gorgeous that is? I'm going to put just a little parsley.
All right.
You always want to bite a little fresh green in the dish. You would serve it as a soup, or you would serve it as a ragu over rice if you wanted to, but look at that. Can you imagine? You take a bite of that and see what you think, huh?
Let me take a bite of that here. So perfect. It's so perfect blended together. I like the crispness of the fish, the way you cooked it.
You have to stop the cooking at the right time, because if you cook the fish too much, it's gone.
There's only one word for that.
What's that?
You already know. Spectacular.
Well, I tell you, what a spectacular day to cook right here on the battlefield. Let's eat a little more.
Yeah, man. This stuff is awesome.
The War of 1812 began in part because of British blockades imposed on American trade. An equally disconcerting issue was the impressment of American sailors.
American ships were being stopped on the ocean by British ships, sailors taken off and put into the Royal Navy. Those two issues were, for people in favor of the war, issues that meant America was not being respected as a sovereign nation.
Throughout the war, Britain attacked American seaports, burned down parts of Washington, D.C., and soon threatened control over one of the most important cities of the new nation.
Thomas Jefferson said that there is one spot on the globe, the possessor of it is the natural enemy of the United States. That is New Orleans. So for Thomas Jefferson, the future of the United States is actually this city.
Control of New Orleans and the Mississippi River was crucial to American expansion, long considered the gateway of the American future. The man entrusted to secure American victory was none other than Andrew Jackson.
So Andrew Jackson did not have nearly enough soldiers to successfully defend New Orleans. Even the best general is not going to be able to stop 10,000 British soldiers with 1,000 U.S. regulars. So what he's got to work with is French Creoles, people who speak only French, people who came from the Canary Islands, only speaking Spanish. He enlists the help of local Choctaws, the American Indian tribe in this area. There's a free African-American militia in New Orleans. There are pirates, privateers, criminals, people like Jean and Pierre Lafitte, essentially the organized crime of New Orleans. Some of them are in jail, some of them are wanted, but they have valuable skills. So altogether, he's going to rouse up about 4,000 people made up of all those different groups, speaking at least 5 different languages, and here for a lot of different reasons.
On the morning of January 8th, amidst the swampy bayous, the British troops stormed towards Jackson's ragtag army, where they patiently waited for his command.
1776, America declared independence, but some people said it had never really been tested. It was tested here on this field.
The Battle of New Orleans resulted in an estimated 2,000 British casualties, compared with fewer than 100 sustained by the Americans.
It also meant, because the battle was fought by troops who represented the full diversity of all the people that were in New Orleans, it actually meant the idea of what the American people are had to change. It couldn't just be the interests of the Anglo people who had fought in some of the battles before.
The victory at New Orleans would embolden the spirit of the young, diverse nation still seeking to establish its foundation. The victory also gave rise to a new prominent national figure in Andrew Jackson, who would one day go on to ride that legacy to the American presidency.
So, Chef, now you're going to show me the potage de crevettes et le champignon.
Oh, absolutely. And the champignon, the wild oyster mushrooms of the swamps of Louisiana. Oh, mwah! Fresh picked on the trees this morning. The soldiers would have been picking those up and cooking this dish.
I love oyster mushrooms. In the woods outside of Philadelphia, we have all the mushrooms you can think of. But that is one of my favorites. That and chanterelle.
Oh, that and chanterelle.
You can keep the truffles.
we have chanterelle beds all over Louisiana and the oyster mushrooms. So, hey, look, you and I like the same thing. I'll tell you, we like the same food. So you ready to cook this beautiful dish?
I can wait for it.
I have oil in here, and I want my oil, you can dump it all in.
Would you use oil or would you use lard?
Well, in those days, I'd have used lard for sure. Here, we just want to cook the flour enough to get the starchiness taste out.
To get the floury taste out,
Just the floury taste, that's all. In Louisiana, we never, ever, ever only make a thickening agent. It's got to thicken, it's got a color, it's got a flavor. If it doesn't, it don't go in the pot, okay?
Yeah.
And right here in the pot right next to me, to add to that beautiful flavor, I have this gorgeous stock with the shrimp and the mushroom stems. So we got the Trinity again. We have our onions, our celery, and our bell peppers, but then we have our little piquant peppers. They all go in the pot as well. Yeah. And we just put them in whole, and the garlic. Look at that pot right now.
Beautiful, yeah.
That's how you know you got a good roux. Look at the bottom of the pot, and look at that, how it all just holds together beautifully. And now we're ready to go ahead and add the mushrooms. You see, I got some stems. I got
a little bit of everything,
and they're all in there. And the earthy taste of these mushrooms, you can eat them raw. Now what we have to do, sacrifice half the shrimp.
Gotcha.
In Louisiana, on these type of Creole dishes, the Creole cooks always preached and practiced sacrifice. They say put half of your ingredients in the pot, let it cook away. It's going to just blow up in flavor. Save the rest where it only cooks for a minute, where people know what they're eating. So let's sacrifice half of our shrimp. And they're all deveined and ready to go into the pot. That's sacrifice. That's fini, okay? Once you add something to the pot, the bottom of the pot should have no liquid in it. It should all just be picking up by the roux until I add the stock. Now this stock is full of mushroom flavor. It's full of shrimp. I want everybody to see how the roux is going to suck up all the liquid. Yep. And when it sucks up the liquid, it's just creating more flavor. You see that?
See it.
The color is just going to be like almost like you had a little cream in it or something, but there's no cream, right? We're going to add some green onions into the pot, right there. Just sprinkle them on in. I'm going to add just a little touch of our parsley. So this would cook for about another 30 minutes. That's all we need. We'd come in, and again, we put a little bit salt in that. And Chef, you can just put a little bit pepper in there for me.
Yep.
Now all we have to do is add the rest of our sacrifice.
Here we go.
This is cooked 30 minutes. Now we're going to add the remainder of our shrimp. And this is going to cook for 5 minutes, right? And the only thing we need to add to the pot now is just a little bit of that fresh parsley
on top
at the end, just like that, and let it come to a boil just to curl the shrimp. One of the things that I really wanted you to take away from cooking with me was just how simple ingredients from the land, ingredients from the water, right here around us in Cajun country, can make so many unique dishes out of those same ingredients.
It's just the application,
Just the application and the length of cook, etc., etc. How's the seasoning?
The flavors are perfect. I think it's a home run again.
I would say a big home run, huh? Wow,
beautiful.
That's a great one. And again, right on the battlefield where the soldiers in 1815 on that cold January morning, I promise you, they were either cooking this or thinking about it.
Nathan,
Good morning.
my pleasure.
Great to have you.
What a beautiful facility here. Tell me.
Yes, thank you. Welcome to the Chalmette Battlefield. And as you can see behind me, we have the reason that we're here today, the reason there's a city of New Orleans, the reason that there's a Battle of New Orleans, the Mississippi River.
The mighty Mississippi. Why was this river so important for the people that live down here? Why was it so important to protect it?
In the time before paved roads, this was the superhighway of the American continent. Goods, people, trade, all based on being able to move back and forth up this river. Whoever controls that controls the whole interior of the United States. So beside us here we have the Rodriguez Canal. Doesn't look like much right now, but it is very significant because it is the only original feature to this battlefield that was here. This terrain encompasses 3 plantations. The British march across the Chalmette plantation. The American rampart and line are on the Rodriguez plantation. And on the other side, the house is gone now, but there was a McCarty plantation that was the headquarters of General Jackson on this field. They believe it was anywhere from 6 to 7 feet deep and filled with water, and maybe about 7 or 8 feet wide.
And I see the artillery behind us and the rampart.
Here is a facsimile of what was created really in a hurry by American defenders. What would have been here was something pretty formidable, a 6 or 7 foot high wall that sloped down with that Rodriguez Canal water barrier on the other side. So yes, not a permanent fort, but still a pretty formidable obstacle built in the space of a couple of weeks.
But then you would say that this was an essential part for the victory.
Absolutely. There are about 4,000 Americans, and when I say Americans, I mean a really culturally diverse group of people speaking different languages, and they're going to be outnumbered by about 8,000 British coming across the field. If this is an open field, they stand absolutely no chance. If they have a rampart, if they have a wall and a Rodriguez Canal water obstacle, that is their only hope.
What a moment standing here and just kind of envision the day of January 8th of 1815. It's amazing.
Here we have the Chalmette Monument. It was created to memorialize the defenders who fought here. It really reflects the kind of beauty of America then that's carried forward into today. People are still coming to New Orleans all the time because it's an amazing place to visit. The food, the music, the culture that's here, that was all reflected on this field. All of the people that make the food and the music and the culture of New Orleans wonderful today, they were here.
It was 1974 when I first stepped foot into the city of New Orleans. Ever since, I've been amazed about the cuisine, the culture, the people. I cannot say enough about the Big Easy. So we left the battlefield, which was just amazing.
A beautiful day.
But now I'm in your really terroir here. This is home base for you. So tell me.
This is my restaurant revolution right in the heart of the Vieux Carré, the French Quarter of New Orleans. And the best thing about the restaurant is the executive chef. This is Jana Beal.
Very
and
nice
Jana
to meet you.
Beal is a little Cajun girl from Johnson Bayou, Louisiana. You asked about the restaurant. I said, well, let's come in. We're going to cook a little barbecued shrimp. One of the most famous shrimp dishes in New Orleans. You want to show us how to cook it?
Yes, sir. Y'all ready to get started?
Yep, absolutely we are.
All right, I'm going to start with just a little bit of butter. You're going to put some garlic in there for me?
The Creoles love it sliced and the Cajuns love it diced. So I'm
you
throwing
can
them both in. I'm going to throw a little bit herbs in there as
got
well.
some rosemary.
Now look at these shrimp. Now these
Now
are
we're
white.
throwing in our head on.
And they have to be head on because we're going to pull the head from the tail and we're going to suck the juices out of the head, okay? Oh my God, look how nice that is.
Smell that garlic.
Oh yeah, that garlic,
garlic. The aroma is
garlic is
amazing.
moving.
The herbs.
And and it's a simple dish. So we're going to flip the shrimp just a little bit. And you see how fast they cook and curl? That's what we're looking for. Oh yeah, a lot of black pepper. Now what are you putting in there, Jan?
Just adding some salt, Chef, a little cayenne, little
Salt and
granulated garlic.
And look at that. You see how it's cooking up nicely?
Yep.
Little touch of stock, just to kind of loosen it up the bottom so the butter
What kind of
doesn't
stock?
burn.
Like Courtbouillon?
Yeah, just a nice
shrimp
fish stock.
stock.
Yeah,
Yeah.
little fish stock.
With the shells that we took from the shrimp, we make a nice little shrimp
I'm going to
stock
put a
there.
little touch of lemon juice, a little touch of that good Tabasco.
Louisiana.
Look at that. And a little Worcestershire sauce. You see all the flavors?
Yeah.
Now look, we get it
acid.
simmering really nice. And what's next, Jana?
Beer.
Beer. Any kind of beer in particular?
And this one in particular, we're using an amber, a local amber.
Oh, now you're talking. Beautiful.
Yeah, but you know what finishes this dish all together? Nice, fresh, sweet cream butter.
That's right.
Oh, look at this. Look at that, Chef. And Chef, once the butter melts, we're going to finish. You got a little bit more green onions and parsley. And Jana, we just let that reduce a little bit.
All right.
Look at that beautiful shrimp.
That's it.
Look how gorgeous that is. And then we take it like this, and we break the tail off, just like that. See it? And we do this.
Thing like a crawdaddy.
Just like a crawdaddy.
This dish screams New Orleans. This is what people come to eat. This is what they expect.
You know what it shouts to me? Eat me.
Eat me.
Could they have had this on the battlefield?
I don't know if they really would have done this dish on the battlefield or not, but I think they certainly could have. But I know a dish they did do in 1815. So why don't we head back there and go do it?
So, John, I see bananas here. And I know that no other city has made bananas more popular than New Orleans.
Cooking bananas with sugar and butter and whiskey goes way back.
Yeah.
In fact, at the victory dinner of the Battle of New Orleans, Andrew Jackson's final dinner as he waved goodbye to New Orleans had just a scrumptious menu. But at the end was a flambe of bananas in brown sugar and brandy. You know, a lot of people think the bananas have to be the ones that's hard, but that's not so, right?
Au contraire, because the more riper, in my book, the better, more flavor, you know.
Well, of course. I mean, the soft, ripe bananas. You ready to go? We have our butter. Now, why don't you just throw me a couple more little pats of butter in there? Now, you see what I'm doing? I'm trying to brown my butter a little bit. That's looking good. People say, oh, you look, my butter's burning. I said, well, butter's burning, give me the bananas. And you notice I'm in black iron skillet again. Everything in black iron here. This is traditional again. This skillet goes back 100 years. So now I'm going to take the brown sugar.
There we go.
So I'm going to put the brown sugar. And of course, we're a sugar state here. You know, we're one of the largest producers of sugar in New Orleans in the late 1800s than anywhere else in America. There were more millionaires between Baton Rouge and New Orleans just because of this beautiful brown sugar.
Before they got into petroleum.
Yeah, we were just lucky on 2 counts, right? What about if we throw a little bit of that cinnamon in?
How much you want in there?
Yeah, about half of it. Because when the flaming comes, we throw some more in the flame, right?
Gotcha.
Okay. Now, the bananas Foster would have a couple other things in it, but this is a flambe of bananas that was done in 1815. So now I'm going to put in the bananas. I'm going to put them right down in the sugar like this and just start the cooking of those bananas. They're already softened. That's why you want the ripe bananas,
ones,
right?
Yeah.
You want to get them down in that sugar. Oh, look at that sugar eating them up, huh?
Good,
Just move them around a little bit. And they're just sitting here caramelizing. Now, all I need is the choice of my liquors. Now, in 1815, they used brandy at the farewell dinner of Jackson. Go ahead and pour that. Look, the brandy in the middle right there. Free pour right down in there. Oh, that's good right there. Oh, there we go, right there. See that nice flame?
Ooh.
Huh?
You're shaving my whiskers here.
Oh, you got to burn that whiskey out. Look at that nice flame
beautiful.
there, huh?
You got it,
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
Now you can put just a little bit rum in it for flavor.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Maybe a little bit more.
Oh, a little bit more, okay.
Yeah, maybe a little bit more. Maybe a little
Ah, you go.
bit. All right.
And how about you Ratifia? A little bit too?
Oh, just a drizzle of Ratifia because you company. Oh, that's
you
good
go.
right there. And look how it just caramelizes the bananas, gorgeous. Now, you know what I served this on top of, even in those days. This is the Creole cream cheese ice cream. It's just an acid-set cheese that's made with buttermilk. So take a little bite of it.
Switch, I can feel the butter fat.
Oh, high butter fat content. And what makes it all come to life is right here. You cut the bananas in half like that, and you put them on top, the ice cream. And you see how soft the bananas are?
Yep.
They just cook so much in the rum and the simple syrup. And then you get a nice big spoon of the sauce. Look at that.
John, this is the last time you're going to see this board, you know. I'm going to be hide behind this tree. Wow, spectacular. You know, John, less is better.
You know, we said it 100 times. Simplicity is always best in cooking, and just to preserve the tradition is what we're doing here today on this magnificent battlefield.
John, it was fantastic cooking with you here on this historic site that we are, where the battle was fought, January 8, 1815.
Wow, that's right.
All for a taste of history.